and welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. I am Rochelle Baptiste with the details. The 44th anniversary of SVG's independence will be celebrated under the theme, Our Fortitude, Our People, Our Identity, Road to 45. The independence activities are organized by the government of SVG through the National Independence Committee. At a news conference yesterday, representative of the National Independence Committee, Rodney Small, outlined some of the activities which will be held to commemorate the 44th anniversary of SVG's independence, including the Miss SVG pageant and the National Independence Parade.
The cleanup of Kingston, the decorating of Kingston, businesses, schools, government buildings, churches and communities. The Miss SVG pageant, diaspora events, the Medical Association Pink Cap Walk around Kingston, Color Fete and other private promoters events, the National Independence Parade, the school's Independence Rally, Everything Vinci Expo, Pan in the Streets, Masters Cricket, Computech Masters Football, National Church Service, the Football Federation International Soccer Matches, Lions Club Public Speaking Competition, Motorsports Activities, Madongo Festival at Chateau Park, National Day of Prayer, the Signing Euphonium Pan Jamboree, a lecture at the Community College with a focus on our identity and much more. And as we are talking tourism, our hope is that some of these activities will be seen as tourism products.
Small said with a focus on building back community values and spirit, the independence celebrations will see the return of the Best Village competition.
We all can agree that we have lost a lot of our community values and spirit. And this year, the National Independence Committee would be hosting one of the most anticipated Best Village competition. Communication has started with some community groups and organizations. The criteria will include beautification, community spirit, proper signage, among other things. More information will follow as we roll out our social and traditional media campaign in the middle of this week. Let's make our community great again.
Registration for the Best Village competition can be done through the National Independence Committee located upstairs the Carnival Development Corporation CDC at the Victoria Park. Judging in the competition is expected to commence on October 25th, 2023. And the Ministry of Tourism will soon launch a taxi operator policy. This is according to Minister of Tourism Carlos James, who was at the time outlining some of the plans for the tourism industry at a news conference yesterday held at the NIS conference room.
Point as well, we intend very much to launch very soon the taxi operators policy, in terms of persons who are looking to upgrade their fleet in terms of their taxi, public transportation, but also persons who operate in taxis within the tourism sector. Naturally, we have to get a new fleet of vehicles. I want, when I land at the Argyle International Airport, there are 2022 and 2023 model vehicles that are there to pick up both locals and guests who arrive in. And we have to ensure that we lift our game and we have nothing but short of the best quality in terms of our services and our delivery. I do recognize the hard work and the professionalism of our taxi operators, and I'm meeting them halfway by facilitating through the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines a regime for concessions for taxi operators who are importing vehicles in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And very soon we'll have this available to taxi operators within the country, and we'll do a formal launching of that.
Minister James said regulatory measures will also be put in place soon for beach vending, as there are a number of challenges in this area.
We're also looking at a number of regulatory measures as it relates to beach vending. It is becoming a concern for some stakeholders. Recently, as minister, I had to get myself involved in a dispute between two vendors who wanted the same spot on a beach. One was saying, well, I am the one who's normally vends here, and the other one was saying, well, I am doing an activity, I got permission to do it this week. And I had to really come in the middle of that. And I don't want it to be a case where we don't have a regulated system in place where persons are registered, they're certified, and we can provide the best available service to users, both local and visitors, to our public spaces. And naturally, that is something that we're working on very soon to implement as well.
The tourism minister said his ministry is working on several other initiatives, including destination weddings.
We have fallen off. Naturally, St. Vincent was one of the leading destinations for weddings in the region. And we have, I think, the capacity now to facilitate that. We have done a number of training. We've amended the Marriage Act. We've gone to the Parliament. We've done substantial legislative changes to the Marriage Act to facilitate having same-day weddings here in St. Vincent, and mainly to accommodate persons who are coming from the Grenadines, who have to come to Kingston, go to the High Court registry, make an application there, then walk up to the Attorney General's office, make a second lodging of that application. And it is just a bothersome process. And what we have done with this amendment is to ensure that everything can be processed and done at one location, and it can be done, we can decentralize it. So it can be done on Beckway, on Union Island, Canawan, wherever there's a revenue office, we will be able to facilitate the application process for these weddings. But it gets a bit even more interesting, because what we're now looking at doing is to also facilitate this process online. So persons who are looking to come to St. Vincent for a destination wedding and a subsequent honeymoon period, they don't have to wait until they come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to essentially make an application formally to get married here.
Medical practitioner Dr. Franklin James said the mortality rate from heat stroke, which is a related illness caused by the warm weather condition, can range from 50% to 70%, as he stressed the importance to diagnose these illnesses early for treatment. Dr. James was discussing heat-related illnesses recently on NBC's Radio Face-to-Face program.
It is also important that the mortality and morbidity and mortality has a great relationship with the degree of time or the duration of the high body temperature and unconsciousness. Okay. So it is paramount or important that the diagnosis of heat stroke be made as early as possible so that treatment can be started promptly. The longer the person stays in that state, the lower the possibility of surviving.
All right.
Urging Vincentians to take the necessary precautions against heat stroke, Dr. James said it is important to stay hydrated and wear light color clothing to prevent heat-related illness associated with the scorching weather conditions.
So light clothes, also the color of the clothes. Dark clothes tend to absorb a lot of heat and a lot of heat. So your light clothes and the hours that you participate in physical activity on the outside. So for example, like at this point in time of the day where the sun is, when it gets to 10 o'clock or so, like, it is not wise to be on the outside. Try to avoid practicing these sports when the atmospheric temperature is very high.
President of the Cannabis Revival Committee, Junior Cuttle, has expressed his dissatisfaction with the services of Inter-Caribbean Airwaves. In a news release issued this afternoon, Cuttle noted that a representative delegation comprising himself, Kachita Hari, and Cassidel Matthias were to be on their way to attend a traditional growers consultation in Colombia. However, they were unable to leave the Argyle International Airport due to what he deems as the incompetence of Inter-Caribbean Airwaves, with whom they were scheduled to travel to Barbados to board their connecting flight. Cuttle noted that the three Vincentian representatives were amongst a group of about 20 or so persons who were to meet accommodate connected flights to their respective destinations. He said apart from being told that the flight was delayed, thereby making them unable to catch their connecting flight in time, they were also informed that the flight could not accommodate more than 9 of the expected travelers once it arrived. Cutler said that they were informed by a front desk worker that the airline had decided to use a 30-seater plane instead of one of its larger carriers, which was expected to arrive at the AIA. And to make matters worse, he said no one offered them an apology. According to Cutler, the Traditional Growers Consultation in Colombia, organized by the Transnational Institute, the TNI, in conjunction with Vesomotop, a Colombian organization, was scheduled for September 18 to the 21st, 2023, working under the theme, The Impact of Drug Policy on the Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of Traditional Cultivators. He said the consultation attracted participants from Jamaica, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Guadeloupe, Dominica, St. Lucia, Mexico, and Colombia. The news release ended by saying the Cannabis Revival Committee, the CRC, is calling on the respective governments of the territories affected by these transportation woes to move with haste in putting its air transportation house in order. In recent times, there have been several complaints about the services offered by Inter-Caribbean Airlines. One affected passenger shared her experience recently with SVG-TV News, noting that she experienced over 4 hours delay at the AIA and had to incur additional costs on her way to Canada, where she resides, with little communication from the airline. The delay was later acknowledged by the airline, which promises to improve service to customers. We hear that youth development expert Dr. Andrew Simmons says the problems with crime and other social ills in the Vincentian society are solvable. However, the solution should not be seen as one for the government alone, but a joint approach involving all Vincentians.
That we have people in St. Vincent with the capacity, and I think sometime, you know, dealing with crime is not a government alone problem. It is a people problem. And it's not a police issue. It is about only 10 to 15% of that can be solved by policing. We have to look at what you call a whole joint-up approach. Some people call it a environmental health kind of approach, where you look at what are all the facets, the sectors that you within the society, and how do you bring these sectors together? How do you deal with in education? How can education respond to that? You know, in terms of looking at what are the skills, because unemployment is a major problem and a major factor that drive young people into crime and so on. There's also issues pertaining to parental neglect and that type of thing. So we have to pull all these issues and all these sectors and bring them together and design an approach. And that's what I've been doing in countries like Sierra Leone.
Dr. Simmons said the government also needs to engage the people more and to provide the enabling environment to help solve some of these social issues.
What we have to do is to engage our people rather than bringing, you know, there's a tendency to bring people from outside. So they come in, they may have the training, but they don't understand the culture of the country. So when you design something, you can't respond to the culture of the country. The thing about St. Vincent, our people are very unique, very resourceful. And so you try to, you know, I am government, so I would respond to it in, no. Let it be driven from the community. The role of government is create the enabling environment, some resources, financial resources. But in terms of you have to engage the people, and this is what development is all about. Development, people must be the center of the development process. They must be the drivers of it. what is happening in St. Vincent, that there's a tendency for us to forget about the people. And we are not reinventing. It is something that is being practiced between from 1985, from the International Year of Youth, right up to about 2000.
Psychologist Dr. Josel Miller said while statistics have shown females attempt suicide more, males are more successful at it. In an interview with SVG-TV News in observance of Suicidal Awareness Month, Dr. Miller said typically when males are at a point of self-destruction, their fatal measures are more brutal.
Typically when they get to the point of committing suicide, it will be that whatever measures they use would tend to be a bit more fatal than those that will be used by women. So a man might typically be the one to put a gun to his head or to drink the gramoxone or the chemicals, while females might be likely to use, I wouldn't say necessarily less fatal, but measures such as, overdosing on pills or alcohol or something like that, that can, give you the ability to be saved quite easier than if you use no fatal measures.
On social media suicidal messages, Dr. Miller said it is important to get in contact immediately with the person or family members to avoid suicidal ideation.
If you know the person, then you want to reach out, get in contact with them. If you are unable to reach them and you know somebody who is connected to them, then you want to reach out and bring it to their attention, especially if it's a family member. Or if you can go to where they're at, just to make sure that they're fine. Again, confront them about the message. I've seen this. Is everything okay? What's happening? And, let them know that there are different alternatives, that there are resources available that can provide help, and stay with them and give them that support through that whatever they're dealing with at that time.
The RSVG Police Force Recruitment Service comprises several areas to prepare officers in their duties to serve and protect. Instructor at the Police Training School, Station Sergeant Bernadette Matthews, said one of the objectives of the training school is to convert recruits from a civilian to a military life so that they can perform their duties effectively. Inspector Wilmette John said to execute one's duty successfully, discipline is a core part of the training process. Station Sergeant Matthews, Inspector John, along with Corporal Judy Franklin, were paddlers on the Police Beat program on NBC Radio last evening.
You've been out there being a civilian, you're accustomed to doing things on your own. Go when you want, come when you want, do whatever you want. When you come to the training school now, it's a different thing because you're in a disciplinary organization, and therefore our day up there, like we start from 4:55, so you have no time to say, well, I'm home so I could just relax carefree. No, at the training school is business, and it's about time management. You understand? Getting yourself ready for the day's activity. So at the training school, we help, like, you come back like a babe to us. You come like our children. We tell you when to come, when to go, how to do whatever. So we mold you, shape you from one way of life into another.
At the training school, the discipline. Because what we train you to do, because what we train you for is the future.
Yes.
And you might hear, I'm going to touch it now, you might hear something, person say that these structures barking up at the recruits and all this thing. We do it. And the reason for doing it is that we're molding you so that when you go out and meet these, you will not give in.
Self-control.
Self-control.
Yes.
You will not give in.
Chief Instructor at the training school, Wilmette John, said recruits are exposed to a number of tasks, including classifying offenses and police duty subjects, which help prepare them for the job as law enforcement officers.
We also have what we call our extracurricular activities. We have sociology, psychology, Inter-Jersey Forestry Act, the Fisheries Act, customer service, mental health. And I must here thank the mental health. They come and they do a one-day seminar or workshop, you want to call it. Yes. So Dr. Elizabeth Medford and Sister Jill Jones and her team, they're always willing and eager to come and part to the recruit. They'll always look forward for such an occasion. We introduced also the Immigration Act to talk about border security. We have electronic interview, first aid, swimming and life saving, fire, ISPS code, etc. We have a lot other than just the normal police duty subject.